Just days away from the anticipated meeting between President Trump and Vladimir Putin, Russia is attacking. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky said today there's evidence of Russian troops advancing up to 6 miles in key areas of the country's east. Russia controls some 20% of Ukraine. President Trump says there will need to be some land swaps to make peace. Well, to help us understand all of that for tonight's interview, we are joined by Bremmer, founder and president of Eurasia Group. Ian, good to be with you again. Just give me your quick take on what you make of this summit meeting.
It's a success for Putin. The fact that he's coming to U.S. territory shows a level of respect for President Trump that Trump will surely appreciate. That's the reason for it. I think that Putin will be coming and saying what an incredible peacemaker that Trump is, deserves to get a Nobel Peace Prize. And what Putin really needs to accomplish here is to give enough to Trump so that he no longer blames Putin solely or mostly for the continuation of the war in Ukraine. He needs to get it back to Zelensky. So I don't think it's sufficient for just a good meeting with atmospherics. I think Putin does have to come with something. But from Putin's perspective, it should be something that Zelensky cannot accept because he does want to continue the war on the ground.
So you think Putin's, what's his ultimate goal? Do you, if he wants to continue the war on the ground, what's the end game for him?
Well, the reason he wants Zelensky blamed at least a little, and he needs to show a little flexibility, is because he doesn't want Trump to actually put more sanctions on Russia. But Putin believes, with good reason, that he is capable of taking a lot more land in Ukraine over time, and he's not under domestic pressure to end the war. So this is not a time that Putin has any interest in slowing down the drone strikes and slowing down the missiles or in slowing down the absolutely crippling, for both sides, meat grinder of a military offensive on the front lines, John.
So what are the risks then for President Trump? What you've just described is a situation where Vladimir Putin gets what he wants. That wouldn't seem to be very good for President Trump.
Well, Trump wants to bring peace to Ukraine. He has legitimately made efforts in that direction. Now, those efforts have succeeded with the Ukrainians, a lot of pressure on Ukraine to get them to accept a ceasefire with no preconditions. Biden certainly did not accomplish that. But his effort to get Putin to come to the table thus far have come to absolute naught. So he really is trying to make this meeting happen, not because he knows it's going to bring peace, but because he hopes that the pressure is going to bring the Russians closer to something that the Ukrainians can accept. And if he can accomplish that, then he will probably put more pressure once again on Zelensky.
And finally, really quickly, and we haven't mentioned Zelensky. What does he have no cards to play, or does he have some allies in Europe who might be able to help him? He's not at the meeting. What's his posture?
There's no reason for him to be at the meeting, and it's clear that there needs to be a different bilat between Zelensky and Trump. There has been a lot of meetings between Zelensky and the Europeans. The point here is that the Europeans today are providing a lot more military support to Ukraine than the Americans are. Very different than 3-6 months ago, which means that the Europeans have a seat at the table. They can help Zelensky say no. They can help Zelensky resist both Trump and Putin. They can also help Zelensky keep NATO together on this issue. And that is actually pretty important for the ultimate survival of a democratic Ukrainian regime.